They laughed at you. Not the harmless kind of laughter. No. This was the kind that slithered beneath your skin, that echoed in your skull long after the voices had faded. The kind of laughter that wasn't just amusement. It was mockery, condescension, a slow and deliberate carving of your worth into something unrecognizable. They wanted you to shrink, to doubt, to drown in the humiliation they poured upon you like gasoline, hoping one spark of their cruelty would set you ablaze. But they miscalculated. Oh, they thought they were dealing with another fragile soul, one that would crumble under the weight of their scorn. But what they didn't realize was that some fires don't consume. Some fires forge. You see, there are two kinds of pain in this world, one that weakens and one that sharpens. They had prayed for the former, betting on your ruin, delighting in the fractures they believed they were creating in you. But they didn't understand the beast they were awakening. Every insult, every sneer, every time they pushed you into the shadows, they weren't breaking you. They were tempering you, like steel folded over and over again, becoming sharper, stronger, deadlier with each strike of the hammer. They built their thrones on arrogance, crowned themselves in delusion, and called themselves kings and queens of a world that thrives on deception. Their egos, so bloated, so fragile, float high above them like glass balloons, shimmering, untouchable, delicate. They thought they could say anything, do anything, and remain untouchable. But what happens when the ground they stand on begins to quake? What happens when the one they cast aside, the one they mocked and underestimated, rises, not in anger, not in petty vengeance, but in undeniable, unstoppable power? That, my friend, is when the fear sets in. That is when their laughter dies in their throats, replaced with a suffocating silence. Because there is no greater nightmare for those who live on illusion than the arrival of an undeniable, inescapable truth. And the truth is this: you were never meant to be beneath them. You were never meant to cower, to submit, to be a footnote in their twisted little narrative. No, you were designed for something far greater. And the best part? They helped create it. They sowed the seeds of your transformation with every ounce of cruelty they fed you. The very hands that tried to push you into the dirt will be the same hands that tremble when they see what you've become. Their greatest mistake wasn't underestimating you. It was believing they had the power to define you in the first place. Ah, but that's the beauty of all of this, isn't it? You don't need to scream. You don't need to explain. You don't need to waste a single breath trying to convince them of who you are now. No, that's not how you destroy them. The real devastation isn't in words. It's in the slow, creeping realization that no amount of denial, no amount of gaslighting, no amount of desperate, frantic justification can erase what is now undeniable. The moment they see you standing taller, unshaken, thriving in the very arena where they swore you would perish, that is when their egos begin to shatter. And nothing terrifies them more than watching the person they once dismissed become something they can no longer control. Control. That's the key, isn't it? It was never about fairness, never about merit. It was about keeping you small, manageable, contained. They needed you to believe that your place was beneath them, that the moment you dared to rise, you would be swatted down like an insect. But oh, how the tables turn when the prey stops running, when the hunted no longer flinches, when the silence in their ears is no longer the echo of their own power, but the deafening, crushing weight of their impending irrelevance. Because that's what you're doing, aren't you? You're making them irrelevant. Every step forward, every moment you grow beyond them, you erase their influence, dismantle the illusion they crafted so carefully. They were never strong, only loud. Never wise, only manipulative. Never worthy, only opportunistic. And now, standing before them, you are not a person anymore. You are a mirror, a reflection of every lie they ever told, every falsehood they ever built their pride upon. And what do they see when they look into that mirror? A fraud, a coward, a small, pathetic being whose power was never real to begin with. That is your revenge. Not in shouting, not in desperate attempts to make them feel what you felt. No, no, no. That would be too easy. The real revenge? It's in your existence, your success, your undeniable, unshakable presence in a world they swore you'd never thrive in. They spent so long convincing themselves they were superior. But now they can't even convince themselves that they matter. Oh, and it gets worse for them. Much, much worse. Because the world, oh, the world is watching. And the world loves a good tragedy. Nothing sells quite like a king brought to his knees. Nothing tastes quite as sweet as watching a tyrant stripped of his power. And the best part? You don't have to lift a single finger to make it happen. Their downfall isn't your doing. It's theirs. The weight of their own arrogance will crush them. The force of their own delusions will undo them. And all you have to do is rise. Rise beyond their reach. Rise beyond their petty games, their desperate attempts to regain the control they never truly had. Rise so high that they have no choice but to acknowledge the very thing they once denied, that you were never beneath them, that you were never weak, that you were always meant for more. And as they stand there, watching you ascend, helpless, desperate, clinging to the last shreds of their false superiority, you won't need to say a word, because the silence will say it all. They feel it now, don't they? That creeping unease, that slow, gut-wrenching realization slithering up their spines like ice-cold venom. It started as a whisper, an unspoken dread, tucked beneath their arrogance. But now it's a scream trapped in their throats, suffocating, inescapable. They swore they had you figured out, swore they had buried you beneath their deceit, their mockery, their relentless attempts to break you into something lesser. But here you stand, unshaken. And that, oh, that is their worst nightmare made real. See, for people like them, power is not a reality. It's an illusion, a fragile, desperate mirage they crafted through manipulation and control. It was never about strength. It was about keeping you convinced of your own weakness. And for a while, it worked, didn't it? They made sure you questioned yourself. Every victory they stole from you, every opportunity they poisoned, every moment they twisted the truth, just enough to make you doubt what you already knew. It was all designed to chain you. But those chains, they weren't indestructible. They weren't unbreakable. They were only as strong as the lies that held them together. And now those lies are crumbling. Now they are the ones grasping, scrambling, desperate to hold together the crumbling remnants of their illusion. Because the truth has a funny way of surfacing. No matter how deeply they tried to bury it, no matter how many times they distorted it to fit their little power play, it refuses to stay hidden. And now, that truth stands before them in the form of the one thing they swore they'd never have to face. You, unchained, unstoppable. Oh, but don't mistake their silence for acceptance. No, no, no. They will fight this. They will fight you. Not with fists, not with open declarations of war. No, that would be too honest, too direct. They will fight you the way cowards always do. From the shadows, through whispers and veiled threats, through backhanded compliments and twisted narratives designed to make you question whether you're really as strong as you know yourself to be. They will try to distort the reality of your rise, try to convince the world that your success is nothing but luck, coincidence, a fluke. They will smile in your face and sharpen their daggers behind your back, hoping, praying, that somewhere, somehow, they can still sink their claws into you. But here's the part they never accounted for. You no longer care. Their words, empty, their opinions, worthless, their desperate, flailing attempts to reduce you back to something they can control, laughable, because power, real power, isn't given. It isn't granted through approval or permission. Real power is taken, seized, forged in the fires of every battle they thought would destroy you. And you, my dear, have claimed yours. Look at them now. Look at the panic in their eyes, the frantic way they scramble to redefine the story, to rewrite the past, to pretend, oh, to desperately pretend, that they were never against you to begin with. We always believed in you. We always knew you'd make it. Ah, how quickly they change their tune when faced with the truth of their irrelevance. But you see through it, don't you? The cracks in their facade, the desperation dripping from every forced smile, every hollow word of praise. They don't celebrate you. They fear you because they know, deep down, in the places they refuse to acknowledge, that you are everything they swore you'd never be. And the best part? You didn't have to lift a single finger against them. You didn't have to seek revenge, didn't have to waste your breath trying to expose their schemes. No, your existence did that for you. Your success, your growth, your undeniable, unstoppable ascent is the very thing dismantling them piece by piece. And that, oh, that is a fate worse than anything you could have inflicted upon them yourself. Because people like them, they don't fear failure. They don't fear losing battles, or facing setbacks, or even being proven wrong. No, what they fear, what keeps them awake at night, gnawing at the edges of their sanity, is irrelevance. The moment they realize that the power they held over you was never real to begin with, that despite all their efforts, all their schemes, all their desperate attempts to keep you beneath them, you have risen. And now, they are nothing. Watch as they try to cling to the scraps of their pride, as they attempt to convince themselves that they still matter. Watch as they flail, drowning in the silence left behind when the world stops listening to their lies. And do you know the most exquisite part of all of this? They did it to themselves. Every cruel word, every calculated betrayal, every attempt to crush you beneath the weight of their arrogance, it all led here, to this moment, to you, standing untouchable, while they are left grasping at ghosts. And it burns them. Oh, how it burns them. The knowledge that they are no longer the center of your world, that their opinions, their judgments, their twisted little narratives hold no weight anymore, that they can no longer reach you, no longer shape you, no longer define you, that every time they open their mouths to spew another lie, it will be met with the most devastating response of all: indifference. That is how you break them. Not with words, not with petty retaliation, but with your rise, with your silence, with the simple, brutal, undeniable truth that you have outgrown them in every possible way. And there is no greater punishment for those who thrive on control than the realization that they have lost it entirely. Ah, but this is just the beginning, isn't it? You are still rising, still evolving, still becoming. And they are already at their peak, already rotting from the inside out, suffocating beneath the weight of their own self-inflicted downfall. The real reckoning has yet to come. They don't sleep like they used to, do they? No. Sleep is a luxury reserved for those who are at peace. And peace is something they will never know again. Not now. Not after everything they did, after all the effort they poured into ensuring you would never become what you are now. It's eating them alive. The same people who smirked when you suffered, who mocked your struggle, who found amusement in your downfall. Oh, look at them now. Their laughter has died in their throats, replaced by an aching silence. A silence that follows them, lingers in every room they enter, crawls under their skin like a relentless shadow whispering the truth they refuse to accept. They lost. Not just to you. No, that would be too simple. They lost to time, to reality, to the very forces they thought they controlled. They spent their lives orchestrating a game where the rules always worked in their favor, stacking the deck, tilting the scales, making sure they always held the upper hand. And for a while, it worked. Oh, how sweet their victory must have felt when they saw you at your lowest, when they convinced themselves that they had won, that their version of the story would be the only one that mattered. But here's the thing about stories. They don't end when the villain declares their triumph. No, they keep going. And no matter how much they tried to write you out of existence, no matter how deeply they buried you beneath their deceit, you were always destined to rise. Not by force, not by revenge, but by the sheer, unstoppable weight of truth. And now, truth has become their greatest enemy. Because now, when they walk into a room, they feel it. The shift, the glances, the unspoken words hanging heavy in the air. The world no longer sees them as the powerful, untouchable figures they once pretended to be. No, now the world sees them for what they truly are. Weak, desperate, clinging to an image that no longer exists. Their presence doesn't command respect anymore. It invites pity. And pity, oh, pity is far worse than hatred. Hatred means they are still relevant. Pity means they are nothing. They look at you and search for the person they once knew, the person they could manipulate, control, mold into whatever suited their ego. But that version of you is gone like ashes in the wind, scattered beyond their reach, beyond their comprehension. And what stands before them now is something they cannot manipulate, something they cannot break. You have become their reckoning, not through violence, not through vengeance, but through the simple, irrefutable fact that you no longer care. And that terrifies them. Because indifference is the final nail in their coffin. Indifference means they no longer hold power over you. No matter what they say, no matter what they do, no matter how many desperate attempts they make to drag you back into their game, you will not play. You have outgrown the battlefield they built, and now they are left swinging at ghosts, fighting wars that no longer exist. And oh, how poetic it is. The ones who once thrived on control now find themselves at the mercy of forces they cannot bend to their will. They see your success, your strength, your evolution, and they realize, too late, that they were never truly in control of you. No, they were merely obstacles, stepping stones on a path they never saw coming. And now, they are nothing but spectators in a world that no longer revolves around them. But don't mistake this for their surrender. No, people like them don't surrender. They will linger, watching from the shadows, hoping, praying for the day you stumble, for the day they can sink their teeth back into you, convince themselves that you were never really free. They will whisper, they will scheme, they will try to find cracks in the foundation of your rise, desperate to prove to themselves that you are still the person they once held captive. Let them. Let them watch. Let them wait. Let them hold on to whatever scraps of hope they have left. Because that, oh, that is the cruelest punishment of all. The waiting, the watching, the endless, unbearable agony of knowing they will never get what they want. Because you are never going back. That is their true defeat. Not in some grand cinematic moment of revenge, not in some explosive confrontation where you deliver a final cutting blow. No, their defeat is slow. It is quiet. It is the realization that they will spend the rest of their lives trapped in the past, replaying old battles, reliving old victories that no longer matter. While you have already moved forward, and you will keep moving forward. Higher, stronger, untouchable. They tried to destroy you, they failed. They tried to control you, they failed. They tried to break your spirit, to poison your name, to bury your future beneath the weight of their own insecurities. And in the end, they failed at that too. You are their punishment. Your success is the wound that will never heal, the reminder they can never escape. And no matter how much they try to rewrite the past, no matter how many lies they tell themselves, they will always know the truth. You won, and they will never recover from it.